The Share Pickers Podcast.
And joining me on the podcast right now and on video, if you want to check that out, it's Ian James, Chief Executive Officer of Silver Bullet Data Services. Ian, thanks for joining me.
Absolute pleasure, Justin. Love to see you.
SBDS, you take it, of course, and I've got to say, I'm just reading a trading update for the 31st December 2023, and it's strong. The outlook is strong. First of all, I just want to congratulate you, Ian, because I'm going to show you, share my screen with you for people on podcasts. I'll describe this. This is, right, the biggest rises over the last 6 months on AIM all share. Now, you've got to ignore these top 5 companies. They've had what's called share consolidations. And so they're marking up, the price has gone up by 100 times or 1,000 times just because the share price is less an issue. Now, you are number 6, but you are effectively number 1 because you haven't done that. And you've risen by 406% in the last 6 months. And that is phenomenal. That's the chart there. I'm just going back and just show the chart. It's a phenomenal looking chart. And it's born out, I suppose, by where you are, the exciting space you're in, and of course, your trading update we'll go through in a bit. But before we get into that, Ian, I know people are sort of starting to realize this space you're in is quite exciting. But there are 2 parts of the business. Can you sort of explain for people maybe listening for the first time or not quite sure as to what Silver Bullet is all about? Explain what you're about, please.
Yeah, sure. So probably the best way to explain what we do is to look at the big macro market that we exist in and why we exist. So the why we exist is because there's this big shift away from data for marketing that is not compliant, that's not privacy safe, that's not appropriate for brands to start talking to their customers, indeed target their customers, if you like, to win new customers using digital marketing and digital advertising. And also a way that they're underutilizing the asset that is the data about their customer, right? So there's a big shift, a big inflection point that's happening, which I'm sure we'll talk more about. So that big shift away from what I'd call bad data or non-compliant data to what we in the industry call first-party data, and also other data assets that enable you to speak to your current customers and speak to new customers in a way that is privacy safe and is also super effective. So Silver Bullet is really in the space to help brands to adapt to that market and transform the way that they use data for marketing return on investment. So on one hand, we have a business that focuses on what I would call services towards clients like Mars and Heineken, who globally are going through a process of transformation to plumb in, if you like, or integrate new technologies to unlock the value of their data, to structure data in a way that they can use it more effectively for marketing. We call that first-party data transformation services or customer experience services, because that's what data is about, really, is a better customer experience. And on the other hand, we've got another business that we've been developing over the last 3 or 4 years, which is really solving the problem for what I'm sure we'll talk more about, but is this demise of the third-party cookie, which is the loss of cookies, which have underpinned the whole advertising ecosystem, the digital advertising ecosystem for a whole generation, Justin. So that demise of the cookie requires new data and platforms to be able to target ads in the digital marketing arena, especially around programmatic media and social media and mobile. So we developed a product called 4D, which is an AI platform that enables the smart targeting of ads in digital environments using contextual data, so data that's derived from extracting insights from websites and finding out which websites are the most effective for that advertiser to present their ad in. So we've got 2 sides, first-party data enablement, and then really smart, data-compliant, contextual advertising through our own proprietary platform, 4D AI.
Yeah, and I suppose it's worth pointing out, I mean, I don't know, the level of awareness, apart from people out, within this sort of digital advertising field, of course, people are very aware of it, but the deprecation of the cookie and just the size of the digital advertising market is absolutely vast. And, when as an investor, I look at market sizes sometimes, and I don't think there's one bigger than digital advertising, because, I often look at sort of market sizes like 10 billion or 50 billion or 100 billion. Now, the digital advertising market is 700 billion size-wise, and is growing, and they're reckon it'll surpass $1 trillion by 2030. So even though this is, and this, in the background, you're having this seismic shift, like you say, of deprecating third-party cookies. And I'm sure everyone's aware of cookies. and all this privacy that came in. You have to click yes to cookies and all that stuff, following you on the internet. And that's now been sort of phased out. And the big player in the market, of course, is Google, isn't it? And I mean, I think Safari have done it, but they've been waiting for, and Firefox have done it. But Google is the massive player. I think 61% of all traffic goes through Chrome and all that stuff. So you see how big it is. It's absolutely huge. And they've started doing this, haven't they? So I saw that article I posted on the weekend about, it was in the Telegraph, about Google doing this. And advertisers asking Google, how is this going to work? And the response you got from digital advertisers was, I don't think Google knows how this is going to work. So it's a huge market. But yet there's some problems going forward for advertisers that rely or did rely on third-party cookies, aren't there?
It's the biggest inflection point probably in a generation for digital marketing, Justin. It's not to be underemphasized. I mean, it's been a long time coming. GDPR has been around for a very long time as a regulation that really outlawed the cookie in terms of its permissions that consumers like us give to third-party advertisers on Google's platforms. Chrome is a good example, of being the browser that enables all of our advertisers to use data to target and get insights and measure their advertising effectively. So you're absolutely right. Google have now started to deprecate, is the technical word for getting rid of the third-party cookies that were used for insights, targeting, and measurement of advertising campaigns. That's gone, right? So by end of 24, Google is telling the market now that they will deprecate all third-party cookies out of that browser. Therefore, keeping it simple, what advertisers need is an alternative to cookies that are privacy compliant, privacy safe, but also very, very effective, because you can't just take away digital advertising. To your point, it's probably going to be the preeminent, it already is the majority of investment that brands make in terms of winning new customers, advertising to new customers. But it will be pretty much the whole ecosystem by 2030. So therefore, clients are seeking new solutions, right? So new solutions are, I need to organize my data in a way that I can use all the data that's first party and permissioned by my customers. That's
so first party, explain first party is when people actually come to your site rather than be tracked around by different cookies. They've come to your site first, and so that's,
correct.
Basically, you want to go to that site and they're happy to be,
correct.
Put a cookie on it,
Exactly, so it's your customer, so to speak. And also it's the customer data where you already are a buyer of pet food from Mars, for example, or beer from Heineken. You are a customer. Therefore, we would call that a first-party data asset. So you have information about a customer who has given you permission to market to them. So that's first-party data in its entirety on the site, but also when you're already a customer. So that's a really big data asset, or a business asset for any brand now. And it's critical that you've got the right infrastructure to manage it appropriately and then use it. So we help brands to do both of those things, manage the data, put in the infrastructure they need, and then do the work. So we advise and actually do help them do the work to manage marketing campaigns using that data. But also, of course, you want to find new use cases for that data over in the advertising environment. So before, you could tie it up with cookie data and use it for targeting, say in a video ad campaign in programmatic media, a way of transacting and buying space to put your ad into. But now, of course, you can't do that. And therefore, you need an alternative. And what we've developed with 4D is an alternative data source that enables you to do that targeting in an effective way. It's contextual in the sense that we derive insights from websites that are going to be really effective. And that's privacy compliant data that we can map back to customer profiles and also use as a way of targeting more effectively on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say this, I mean, I know people are sort of aware of the 4D AI and how scalable that is because digital plugged in. But like I said, every brand, every company need a tailor-made solution for them for what they want to do. And like you say, data, now they're collecting lots of data, and many of it's maybe unstructured, they don't know what to do with. So you help them sort that, structure it, analyze it, and see, what people are doing, what potential customers are doing, what they're looking at, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And I think an example of that would be for our larger clients, they're seeking what you would describe as enterprise solutions. So that's software like Salesforce, for example, provide a variety of different platforms that a client can use to manage their data and organize their data in a way that they can then use it in marketing to get better return on investment, right? So we work with Salesforce, for example, globally to help clients to adapt and adopt their technologies. We help them to integrate different data assets or data into those platforms and roll that out across multiple countries. For example, that's what we do with Heineken. So across multiple countries, in excess of 10 actually, we've helped Salesforce to be adopted as a platform, and now we help them to manage that platform and develop marketing strategies and campaigns using the data that sits in those platforms. So you're right, it's actually about structuring data and managing it in an organized way. We do specialize in that and have done that for years. We're also able to then help them to take that data out into the world and use it in a way to advertise to new customers as well as the current customers that they have.
Yeah, well, there's obviously demand because just looking at a trading update for the year ended 31st December 2023. As an investor, what I look for, I love small companies. I love small companies that are growing. To me, that is where it's at. It validates the company if there's growth coming in. And I've got to say the growth here is very impressive. Group revenue increased by 42% to 8.3 million. And remind me, but 4D AI, you increased it 85% to 2.8 million. Right. When was that officially launched? Because it hasn't been officially launched commercially that long, is it?
Yeah, we've been in the market for a couple of years now, and we recently are launching what I consider to be the next components of 4D. So think of 4D as a platform. 4D is a platform that will be used by different advertisers in different ways. So you can either use it for insights. We launched the 4D Insights platform recently, which is what you're referring to, I think, Justin. So the 4D Insights platform is a very useful tool that brands and media agencies that work on behalf of brands can use to extract insights about the customer behavior on websites around the web. So they can pull that back to say, well, if this type of person is very interested in buying beer around sport, what else do we know about their behavior so that we can target our advertising in a more effective way? That's an insight. Okay, so they use 4D for that, 4D Insights. We also have 4D Targeting, which is then you can take that insight, create what's called technically a segment, and then use that segment to target people using platforms to then buy the media. So we integrate with other platforms for you to be able to do that in a very simple, easy way. So you can use 4D for targeting. And then, of course, you want to measure the impact that advertising's had. Cookies used to be able to do that, but with that going away, you need different tools. 4D measurement enables that to happen. So we have a raft of different capabilities, if you like, within 4D that tackle that whole insights, targeting, and measurement challenge that brands face in the post-cookie era.
Yeah, and like I say, you're still what we call sort of a micro-cap company, a small company, growing very quickly, but still small. So how are these global brands? How are they finding you? How do they know about you? How are they aware of your services?
Yeah, in a number of ways. A really good question, Justin, because it's hard to build relationships with global clients is a challenge. So we're really proud of that, and we thank our clients every day, and we work hard for them. So we love being part of that environment. So often it's talking directly to clients that we know, and we find through pitches that are presented to us, for example, but also just our reputation, I'm pleased to say, goes before us. So sometimes we're found by those brands. So that's one thing. But another key way is working with the big technology platforms like Salesforce, who need partners like Silver Bullet to help them to sell their product, but also for their product to flourish once the client has adopted their product, their platforms. So we often work with, for example, Salesforce globally to talk to clients and co-develop ways both of platforms and solutions for those clients. So that's a route to market for us through our technology partners. But also we've integrated 4D data into other technology providers. And actually, as you can see in our trading update, we've recently integrated into OpenX, which is a big technology platform in what's called the supply side. So it coalesces or aggregates lots and lots of supply inventory. So lots of sites where you can advertise. 4D is available for advertisers to find within their platform without us speaking to them. So 4D AI data is available in OpenX and also an equivalent of OpenX called Pubmatic. Those are two massive technology players in their own right where you can discover 4D data and buy it. So you've got three ways to market: direct to customers, through our big enterprise technology partners, and through the actual technology that delivers advertising. All of those give us opportunities to get 4D and our services out into the market.
Yeah, I suppose, like I said, if someone goes to your website or looks at previous sort of RNSs, they can see the size of the companies you're dealing with. And I suppose, does that help in any way? I mean, if you're pitching to other clients, you obviously got a roster of big, recognizable brands. That must help a lot, mustn't it?
Yeah, it does for sure. I mean, again, we're very respectful of, and we've earned our place there, and hopefully our clients will always say so. But what it really says is we're trusted by the biggest brands in the world, and we're very proud of that, and we deliver against that every day. We have a global footprint. We're a global company, happen to be based in the UK. Over half of our revenues actually are in the US and wrapped around our work with global clients. So we're a global business with a big emphasis on the United States or the Americas market. So that's where all the big marketing investments are, advertiser dollars, if you like.
Yeah.
So we did, by design. That was a strategic intent when we IPO'd the company to raise funds to invest in the US, and we're fulfilling on that. So we are trusted by the world's biggest brands, and we do have a global footprint in what is, as you said, an enormous market.
Yeah. No, exactly. I was talking about those figures earlier, that 700 billion spend in a year, basically, on digital advertising. I mean, a lot of that, majority of that is in the US. I'm just thinking there, your company, American investors would love your company listed in the NASDAQ. So this is the kind of thing they would love. But I mean, so you started off, you're out of the gates, out of the traps, running fast here. What's it look like going forward? Because there's a downturn, there's worries about, digital advertising. But as far as I've seen, the stats I've seen is growing every year. But what's it looking like going forward business-wise?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a strong start to the year. So if we just talk about what's actually happened, we have a commitment of over £5 million already in this financial year, FY24, which again is in our trading update. And I think that gives us a solid foundation to grow from. A large part of that is our customer experience services piece, but also over £1 million of that is in 4D. So we're seeing more brands using 4D. More global clients using our transformation services, and more brands using us across the board to solve the problems that we've just talked about. So a solid laydown of over £5 million gives us a solid foundation looking forward. But I think you're right. The market's a weird place at the minute. It's tough. There's lots of challenges out there. There's lots of things to consider. But we're just getting on with what we're really good at, which is helping businesses and clients to transform their organization. And increasingly, we're being found 4D is more relevant than ever because of that massive inflection point in the change in data environment, the cookie deprecation being a very clear example. So we're in the right place at the right time, doing the right things. So we're just ploughing our furrow, Justin, against what is a very strange economy.
Yeah, well, just to put that in context, I mean, last year, in 2022, this was, your revenues are 5.8 million, and you've already booked that in the second month of February. Of 2024, and you're almost up with that. That's quite impressive there. Yeah, and like I said, I think the figure off the top of my head, wasn't it like Google have deprecated 1% so far of cookies, and yet they're going to be doing all of it by the end of this year?
Correct. I mean, that's like you said. I think it's 60+%. I forget the exact number. It might be 65% of the total, access to the internet. Let's keep it simple. The browser it runs through Google, right? So it's Google's browser. So that's a huge undertaking in terms of the shift that it delivers into the advertising ecosystem. And as I say, you can't underestimate that. That is a once in a generation shift. So that's been around the industry for 2 or 3 years. I mean, and it's really refreshing to see some clarity from Google. Or as you said, I don't think Google are really clear on how it's going to play out, and certainly advertisers aren't. But that's really what we designed Silver Bullet for, is to help brands through that journey. And in many ways, we can help them on, as I said, structuring the data, but also then finding smart new ways to target using the advertising dollars that they've got.
Yeah, exactly. And it must be odd for a lot of digital companies that relied on third parties for so long. Like I say, and all of a sudden it's happening now. We haven't got a solution for this. And, just reading that report on the weekend, a lot of companies don't, even Google are questioning how it works and sort of thing. So it's very interesting. And like I said, it's a big space. It's growing against the backdrop of a huge market there. But, so, I mean, you must be feeling, quite pleased with how it's playing out, Ian, yeah?
Yeah, well, look, we are really pleased, but we don't rest on our laurels. We work really hard. We've also brought our cost base down significantly, which gives us our plan is, we want to be an EBITDA positive business, and our plan suggests that that's what we're going to do. So we run our really, really tight business. We manage our cost base really effectively. We've reduced our cost base year on year by over 10%. And whilst growing the revenue in excess of 40%, and 4D, as you said, at 85% year-on-year growth. So we never rest on our laurels. We feel really pleased with what we've delivered, but we're just getting started, really. I think this inflection point is really starting to bite now. So we're really focused on the US market and the Americas because that's where the big opportunities lie. We're really interested in enterprise solutions that can transform clients permanently. So there's a long-term change in this. And we think that the ad dollars are going to have to find a new home in alternatives to third-party cookies. That's just a fact. So we're working really hard all the time. We want to continue to invest in the company. We want to ensure that we can ride that opportunity as hard as we can. But we're also very conscious that we want to be an EBITDA positive business during 24.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ian, it's good to chat to you, and congratulations on the trading update. And I genuinely think it's probably one of the most exciting companies on AIM, and it's what AIM is built for. A startup company with something special that has growth, and like I said, has the tailwinds of a huge change there. And I think it genuinely is exciting to follow the story and see what's coming next. But Ian, thanks for coming on. Hopefully, we'll catch up very soon.
Justin, absolute pleasure. Thanks for your support.
The Share Pickers Podcast with Justin Waite. The content of this podcast is not intended as investment advice. It is for information purposes only. People in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.